Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so I have Ellen Didier on the line, and she's founder and president of Red Sage Communications. Ellen, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
All right, Ellen. So we have a big topic today. So we'll be talking about B2B lead generation and technology, and really how companies are in the manufacturing sector, how they're taking advantage of this, how they're using technology to generate leads, and most importantly, convert those leads. So, which you're an expert on. So excited to get into that. But before we do, we'll start this episode the way we start them all, with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Ellen, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Ellen, what mission matters to you?
So really, my mission is to know that at the end of the day, the marketing services that my company, Red Sage, provides moves the needle and helps manufacturing and technology companies grow. It's really important to me to know that at the end of the day, we're an important part of making American businesses stronger, because we're helping them grow through the marketing services we provide. We do a lot of really flashy, fun, exciting things to build brand, to build visibility. But really, at the end of the day, it's when we see the results of it and the partnerships that we have with our clients, because we're so aligned with their goals in their industry, that the best work shines, and we really know that we have a hand in their success and America's success. So that's what matters to me.
It's amazing, and love bringing mission-based individuals on the line to share what really gets them going. And I have to say, so you're wearing, beautiful red sage. I'm wearing a red tie. I like the color red. Like, is there a story behind the red?
There is indeed. So red is the color to stand out and be visible. So Red Sage, the whole point is for us to provide services that are visible, that do help people stand out. And then Sage is for sage advice, where we are able to be very strategic in what we do, very wise in what we do. So there's a lot of meaning in red. It's also my favorite color. Got married in a red wedding dress.
That's amazing. I figured there was something. I wasn't going to say, oh, yeah, my tie was matched, but I like red as well, as my viewers know, because I wear a red tie. So there you go. All right. So kind of going further into the subject. So how did you we're going to go into manufacturing, and people that have been watching this show for a long time, they know I'm personally interested in manufacturing, what that renaissance looks like, and where we're going forward with this. So I love bringing on marketers that are kind of really pushing the needle on that industry. But how did you get started on this path to marketing and to really helping these companies? Like, where did it all begin?
Sure. So I started Red Sage in 2006, but prior to that, I don't have an agency background, even though we're the largest agency in North Alabama and one of the largest in the state. I didn't come out of that agency, and very few of our team members did. My background was with a small marketing company that was founded by a guy who did industrial sales. A lot of pump distributors, so centrifugal pumps, ventricle pumps, all of that. And so a lot of my early, and this is going to show my age, a lot of my early work was in industrial sales for pump distributors, to really understand how to do direct mail to raise leads, how to build the early websites, and how to use some of the traditional media, but primarily direct mail, print, and traditional media back then. Of course, over time, as the company's grown, we've really expanded our services. We've started out in 2006 when I started the company, always have had a big focus in B2B because of my background. But we've grown from, I think we added our first 2 employees a year after I started. We're up to 17 now, and we're looking to increase up to 25 over the next couple of years. And holy cow, the tools have changed so much. Particularly, with digital marketing, when I started the company, no social media was in place yet. WordPress wasn't widely in use. So a lot of changes in the industry.
So I'd like to actually go further on that, on the idea of change in this evolution. I'll tell you why. So when I think about manufacturing, when I think about some of the people that are in that industry that, own businesses that have maybe tried to adopt, this digitization process. And everybody's at a different point in their journey, we'll say, with this. All companies are, whether it's starting their first website or starting a website or updating one that's been out there for 20 years that they said they had a website just because somebody told them they had to have a website, right? Like there's so many different people. So not to pick on anyone, but just to kind of let them see behind the curtain on some of the things that you're able to do now. It's like some of the things that are updated, because it's not like it once was. Like so much has changed, and year by year things change. Like I'm always shocked when my team brings me a new tool, and we're in media. This is our business. And when we get a new tool or something else, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we can do this now? That's amazing. So maybe let us peek behind what this evolution has looked like.
Sure. So again, when we started in 2006, it really was traditional media. So a lot of support collateral for business to business people. Yeah. We did websites, we did print materials, and then, again, traditional TV, radio for consumer clients. But over time, first social media came out, and that was interesting because marketing became story-based.
Yeah.
It took a little bit for that to get monetized, where advertising was then available. And of course, you had to decide, was it MySpace going to be the one that triumphed, or was it Facebook? It became Facebook, but then others, Instagram, and now TikTok with the next generation. It just continues to adapt and change. The marketing gets better and better. The data that's available, the targeting tools that are available, social media changes literally every day. Yeah. And it's really interesting because it affected even our staffing, where we used to be staffed with generalists, and now we need specialists because there's too much to know, too much that changes on a day-to-day basis. So social media was the first big thing that came out. Websites, and then when smartphones came out. So adapting websites so they would adapt to everything, having social media with you always. The phone, smartphones was the next huge innovation after social media, and how to change your marketing to adapt to those devices where it was with people all the time. Other things that have come in, LinkedIn as the platform for business to business, Twitter, increasingly important. Yeah. So a lot of those tools. What's also been interesting, though, particularly with business to business, is how much more important people started to get away from some of the traditional approaches.
Yeah.
There's a return to that now. We're really using earned media and paid media to get media coverage of the clients on a national level in their industries, to their target markets, and leading publications or bloggers or influencers. That's a really huge strategy that it's been a huge increase with our clients that we've utilized over the last couple of years, because the downside to some of these tools is just the static. And sometimes earned media really cuts through that in a more visible way with a longer form story that builds trust and credibility. So really interesting. Google is a whole other thing with the search capabilities and how to target and geo-target.
To me, it's like at one point we had a screwdriver and a hammer. We had like two different things we could do. We'd say, this is what we can do. We're either putting a screw in or we're hitting that nail. One of the two. Like that's it. Now you have infinite fasteners, you have different types of bolts, you have different there's just so much out there. You have ball bearings running around the floor. I mean, you have things all over the place, and now you're able to really hit different markets, maybe be a little bit more niche, maybe have more, not saying that the old strategies weren't thought out, by the way. So obviously magazine advertising, things like this, they had their own metrics for measuring and of course all these things. But now you can really be a specialist, like you mentioned, not just in the job function, but in terms of like campaigns and things that you want to actually accomplish. Can you tell me a little bit more about what something like that might look like?
Yeah, so the specialist idea, and we've really narrowed in on B2B as a key idea, so as a key target market for us. The specialist in staffing was really, how do we get people who truly understand not only the psychology of marketing for business to business and how these tools are changing and how do you adapt, but also really understanding how to then apply those tools in ways that resonate and accomplish the client's goals. Really zeroing in. Previous marketing was very much, here's who we are, the push story, very general statements, it was about branding and brand visibility, but not nearly as engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if one of the goals is education, for example, one of our clients, Artemis Shielding, one of their goals, they have a really unique product that's very unique in the market.
Yeah.
It is lead-free radiation shielding. So they're competing in the nuclear industry, healthcare. Primary thing is airports. They're lighter weight curtains because they're not lead-based for that the suitcases go through in the materials, but also breaking into aerospace with lightweight radiation shielding for taking things to the space station is one of the things that they've done. So to tell that kind of story, because it's a unique product, video for education is important. Targeting with all of the back-end tools, we could target decision makers on LinkedIn in various industries. We could target by client, by company name. We could target by title. There's a lot of targeting that's specialized, which we never had before. You could have a trade publication and hope people saw your print ad. But this is a lot more targeted, and there's a lot more data feedback. What's working? Where are they going? How long are they staying? Did they fill out a form? Did it generate a call? We have tracking software that could actually track the results of campaigns by visitor traffic to a website by company name. And having that tool for business development team members is huge. To be able to not only see the data metrics, but to see by company name, where you could then make that part of your lead follow-up when they might be kicking the tires without even calling you first.
Oh man, I love it. And I love that you brought such a niche example. And because I mean, I like to examine this from both sides of it, the spectrum. So from the company side point of view, like they get to get the real targeting so that they know their message is getting in front of the right population or the right types of people. On the other side of the coin, so to speak, the people, the executives that need to see that information are getting it. Like when I think about, like when I open up my feed, it might be because I'm a media guy, Ellen, so I might be the only person that says this, but I actually do. I'm like, all right, I'm a media executive. I own a media company. I co-founded. I have certain needs, certain things that I'm trying to do to improve our company and our reach for our clients so that the message gets out further. I hope somebody's targeting me with my public profile so that they're giving me more things that can help to help my clients better. Like I hope somebody's targeting me. Like, don't give me some ad I don't need to see. Give me something that's going to help me. So there's some, in my opinion, the targeting creates really a win-win scenario if you look at the big picture of things.
And it works. So going back to Artemis, the amazing thing, and actually before I even share this story, one of the things that I hear a lot, and my team members hear a lot when we're talking to a prospective business-to-business client who hasn't really done a lot of digital before, they're suspicious. The biggest question, are people really on LinkedIn? Are they really using it? I don't know, maybe we should do a billboard. And they need to be convinced. So
when the question starts, Ellen, with are they on LinkedIn, do you get a little scared?
It's not unusual to have a very basic, and we're typically coming in where people have done the basics and they start to understand the importance of marketing. Our client base is a lot more savvy than it used to be because as we've grown. But with Artemis, a real example of targeting. So with the good content is another key thing with the video content that we can do now, which really does get by far the best results, the best engagement. Targeting a video, explaining the lightweight nature of their material for radiation shielding. They got a call from a company executive who was looking and wanted to explore their product for shielding to shield equipment, like an equipment cladding to shielding the equipment from radiation that goes on the International Space Station. That turned into a client, a great case study, but that was completely driven from a LinkedIn target to those markets with good content that's video, that's engaging, that's educated about the benefits of this innovative product.
What an amazing story. And
I
I mean
know.
that's like when somebody watches this, so there's two type of people. There's the person that's going to say, "Wow, that's amazing. I need to like, all right, this might be the time and this might be what it takes for me to embrace this whole digitization that's happening." And then some are like, that's just one example. So for the ones that are saying that's just one example, I know you have many, 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 but like, what's another example of like where targeting or where the right type of campaign can work? And it can be from LinkedIn. It could be really from any different type of digital campaign. But just let's have another one for those people that think that was an
Sure.
isolated incident.
Yeah, absolutely. So not Artemis, Ace Aeronautics. This client it's another really interesting client. They
Yeah.
were a startup. I think they started in 2015.
Mhm.
And their mission is to solve aviation obsolescence challenges.
Mm.
Their bread and butter is retrofitting the cockpit of Black Hawks for military
Mhm.
organizations around the world. So they have a
Yeah.
global organization. One of their clients is Austria.
Mhm.
It's significant what they're doing.
Mhm.
So we always start with the branding piece of it because you've got to know who you are. You've got
Mhm.
to make it compelling. And like just that statement, they solve aviation obsolescence challenges.
Yeah.
Very, very focused, very understandable. A lot can be built around that with messaging. Some of the things we've done, yes, we did do LinkedIn advertising, but one of the tools we used for them, they were going over to aviation
Mhm.
conferences globally. So way across the seas in Asia, in Europe, and we were using Google advertising that was
Mhm.
geo-targeted in an area around the conference center to raise additional visibility to people who were staying in hotels and
Mhm.
attending the conferences. So
Mhm.
tracking it that much to raise and give that boost even outside of the convention hall really yielded good results for them, a lot of
Yeah.
visibility and a lot of comment and buzz. One of the comments they said coming back from these trade shows was there was a noticeable recognition that there was buzz about ACE. And this
Mm.
is a startup. They're competing with Lockheed, they're
Yeah.
competing with major, well-known brands in the aerospace industry, and they were getting traction and really presenting themselves at the same level, including competing on the similar contracts and
Mhm.
winning some of them, even though they were a much smaller company. So that's another way with Google
Yeah.
advertising that's linked to conference appearances worked well. The Lead View Pro that I talked about, tracking
Mhm.
visitors to website, that's another innovative thing. I mean,
Mhm.
a lot of clients don't know, or a lot of prospective clients that we have worked with weren't aware that you could track by company name.
Wow.
And
Mhm.
that's helpful for business
Yeah.
development. If you know, well, somebody's kicking around my website, that's
Mhm.
awesome. That's all of a sudden a warm lead that you could follow up on instead of just guessing. So those are two other examples of what could be used in the modern landscape.
Yeah, that the one that you mentioned in terms of like targeting for conferences and things like that's such an advanced strategy that so many people can benefit from. And I've
Yeah.
seen people do that in other industries for years. And so the fact that you're bringing that to manufacturing and things like that, I mean, you're just it's great because the people that are working with the right types of forward thinking people in their marketing efforts, like they can really benefit because not everybody, like even that nugget that you just gave, like that's I've seen it happen by the over and over again. I didn't know that for the viewers, I didn't know Ellen was going to bring that up, but I've seen that happen like time and time again where a small company with a forward thinking marketing team does something like that, and all of a sudden they have this disproportionate like reach and view, and like people don't even realize, they're like, why do I know this company, why do I know this name, or why do I know this CEO, like I've heard his name somewhere. They don't even necessarily realize, but they probably saw some of the content throughout the weeks leading up to the conference, so that whether they knew it or not, like over time they already were predisposed to want to meet that person or meet with that company and figure out like,
Correct.
okay, what's behind this? Like, I know them. I don't know where from, but what is it? And then when the two connect and there's actually that face-to-face or whatever the interaction is, like some great things can happen.
Absolutely. It builds credibility
Mhm.
and trust through the visibility that's gained before you even have the conversation.
Yeah, amazing.
Mhm.
So let's go further into the thought process of platforms. So I always like to have this conversation. I have it in many different industries, but in terms of marketing. So you mentioned LinkedIn. So I know that's a big one. You mentioned Google. And we don't have to go too far into this, but when we think about the TikToks or staying on the cutting edge, I guess, like, do we need to do that, or are we okay with starting with kind of the basics and like the LinkedIns and some of the other things and making sure those bases are covered? Like, what are your thoughts on just platforms overall?
Yeah, so LinkedIn for business to business is number one,
Yeah.
closely followed by Twitter. So those are the two mandatory where if you only want to dip your foot in, that's where I'd start.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is effective if you have a good HR person, and that's an excellent HR strategy platform. You still share a lot of the lead generation content, but it really is about personality. It's about culture. It's about stories like that. It's more engaging. So I look at Facebook really enters strongly when there's a recruiting focus, which, nowadays is pretty important. So after that, the TikTok, we're starting to see it come out in community marketing, which is another interesting thing about Red Sage. We don't only market the manufacturers and technology companies, we actually help the communities that want to attract them market the community as a fit for innovative companies. But we're seeing communities use TikTok. It's really, I think it's going to be used more increasingly in HR. I think it's going to be more in consumer based, and gradually as it matures, we'll find its way more and more into B2B. It's not a standard tool we use, but I could see it coming. I mean, it surpassed, what did it surpass? It just became one of the top websites, over Google.
Yeah. So, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I don't think it's stopping, but
you can't ignore it.
yeah, exactly. I don't think it's stopping anytime soon, but not the marketing expert here. You are. So speaking of that, I know we've talked about Red Sage a little bit, but I want to go further into your business. So obviously lots of growth. You mentioned you focus on manufacturing. Maybe go a step further and just give us a feel for, the types of clients or the types of industries within manufacturing that get the most benefit out of working with you and your team. I know you already mentioned, aerospace and things like that. Give us some more on kind of industries.
Sure. So metal fabrication, my core industries, we've seen a lot of success building their brand and expanding visibility nationally. Any supplier that supports aerospace, any manufacturer or fabrication company or engineering company that supports some of these industries is really a perfect fit. If they have a national or global market. So they're not just looking locally, they're really looking to reach, how do we get this spread out? They could be a small regional or local company with a national presence. So that's a really good fit. Automotive. So one of our clients is Mazda Toyota Manufacturing. Incredible story about two major brands, global brands, came together. They built a facility in Huntsville, which is booming right now. A lot of innovation happening in Huntsville. Mazda Toyota Manufacturing has built a facility here. And it's an interesting story. They're not building a new model with both brands. They're keeping whatever comes off their manufacturing line is either a Mazda or a Toyota, but they're sharing ideas and hoping that the partnership between them really generates innovation, shared values, collaboration, and they really believe that great things and great work and great advances in automotive is going to come off of that line. And I believe it, just watching what I've said of them. So with Mazda Toyota, this is a company that has a new product. So a brand new Mazda SUV is coming off the line. Red Sage is supporting on product announcements and new product promotion there. So even companies where if they're not they could be looking for the ongoing brand awareness lead generation, but also there's a place with Red Sage for companies who are looking to introduce innovation, new technology. How do you get that awareness? How do you get the buzz? How do you get the coverage? How do you get as many eyeballs as possible on this product launch? So we're doing it with Mazda Toyota Manufacturing. Any company that's really looking for HR and recruiting support. So whether it is they're recruiting and they're looking for leadership nationally or very key professionals, not a good platform if you're looking for blue collar workers, but anybody who's looking at technical workers. But you can't just do LinkedIn. That one really has to be combined with a website that shows employee stories. Culture is so important to convey. So we're seeing more and more recruiting specific websites that really are better at telling that story. We're about to launch one, stay tuned, for Mazda Toyota Manufacturing, that really will be more about the culture and recruiting. It's going to be a recruiting tool paired with that LinkedIn campaign. So those are other examples. We have clients other examples of clients we might work with, LMI. They do handheld laser gauges that are good for quality control in the aerospace and automotive industries, just measuring gaps or curvatures or, offsets or anything like that. So anybody who's dealing with a product that supports automotive, aerospace, advanced manufacturing that needs to target nationally or globally, that's really what we could help with, recruiting and product announcements.
What about like size of company? Is this only, you mentioned Mazda Toyota, so I mean, obviously really large company. Are you working also with like middle market, or like give us a feel for that, like who's typically a good fit?
Yeah, it's interesting. Most of ours are the small to mid-sized manufacturing. So the budgets that we're looking at for a lot of our smaller manufacturers, really, they could save money by partnering with Red Sage versus hiring a marketing person in-house that has a much narrower field of expertise. The marketing person would still have to outsource. So for clients that have a good, strong business development and they know they need to be professional, but they really don't want to add another head with benefits, Red Sage is a really, really cost-effective way to do it, where you're going to pay, but you're not going to pay as much as that salary load plus benefit load is. Plus, you're getting the team of experts in all the different areas versus one narrow. So that's one example. A lot of other times, though, there will be clients that do have a marketing and business development person, which is great because a lot better social media on their end that they can manage. And we could focus in other areas with the strategy or the video development to support that. But it could be, the Mazda Toyota is the largest organization we would work with. Most of the others are small to mid-size. They might have.
It sounds almost like fitting that outsourced like CMO model.
Absolutely.
And for those that are watching that aren't familiar with that, maybe you've heard of outsourced CFO. So you have an outside company going and do some of the CFO, the higher level strategy things and implementation. So I've heard of this huge trend of people now going that route as well. You might have your internal marketing, you might even have a marketing team, a couple of people, but as things get more specialized, as things are advanced, like having a team, a larger team that is working on this, and also the benefit of them working with other people and other individuals, being able to stay in front of trends that your internal team necessarily can't keep up with. And I've seen that happen time and time again in different industries. So it's interesting because it obviously applies to manufacturing. Maybe can you speak a little bit on that, just the outsourced CMO role from your point?
Yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense, especially for smaller companies that, again, don't really know that they have enough for a marketing person. The fact with Red Sage, I have accounts people, account executives, and their job is to get in the skin of that client, to really, really understand them. They're the relationship builders. They're the ones that stay uber focused on what that client wants to achieve, who they are, what their mission is, all of that. So that's the account person. That is your person who really functions as an extension of your team as far as understanding of the company and goals. They're supported at Red Sage by a specialist or a lot of specialists, a team of specialists. So we have people specific with web. I have a digital specialist, digital visibility specialist, whose job it is to really understand, outside of even the Google advertising, though he has a bazillion different certifications with Google, how do we use a lot of the other online visibility tools, whether to really raise visibility outside of the typical. The social media specialist, like I said before, too complex for one person to know. Design specialist, video specialist. You need all of these people now for marketing. And if you have a marketing director, you're paying a strategy for somebody who may have a narrower understanding of what's changing, to your point, than a team of these different specialists whose job it is, and their job in my company is not only to serve our clients, but to stay up to date in their fields with professional development by monitoring what's changing in the industry. And we have one of those environments at Red Sage that's extremely collaborative. We're so interconnected and intercollaborative as a team that we need every team member to say, here's what I'm seeing and how we can apply it. Here's what I'm seeing and how we can apply it. We've built an environment here where our entire team in their specialty area brings those ideas, trends, and new ideas forward every day. And somebody in-house just can't do that.
Well, Ellen, I have to say, first off, it's been excellent having you on the show today. And I know you and I can talk marketing all day, but we're about out of time on this one. So just have to say, so, I mean, you guys are obviously, your team is growing. I mean, it's successful. You're helping a lot of clients as just by some of the examples that you gave us today. I mean, I just have to ask, so what's next? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for Red Sage?
Continued growth, continued investment in our team, continued investment in equipment, all of that. So yeah, we're just looking at continuing. I'd love to be at 25 employees versus 17 within the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And that just gives us a more stable base, a solid base to really be able to expand and grow with any of our clients.
Fantastic. And we shall both wear more red. I see that in our future.
And wear more red.
Fantastic. Well, to the viewers, if this is your first time tuning in to Mission Matters, we're a platform that's all about bringing mission-based entrepreneurs, executives, and experts on the line and having them share, like, why do they do what they do? Like, why do they wake up every morning and make sacrifices to go out into the marketplace and to do good and to help their clients and really just to progress us all forward. So if that's the content that you're into or the type of content that you like, I definitely encourage you to hit that subscribe button. We have many more mission-based individuals coming on the line, and we definitely don't want you to miss a thing. And Ellen, it really has been a pleasure. If somebody wants to connect and to learn more about Red Sage, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, first visit our website at redsageonline.com or connect with us on LinkedIn or any of our other social media channels.
Fantastic. And we'll put all of that information into the show notes so that our viewers can just head on right over and just click on the link and go check out your website and connect with you and your team. And Ellen, really, thank you. It has been a pleasure. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.